All right. Yeah. Hey, guys, welcome back to Let's Go Podcast. Season 3 is about to start. We decided to do something different, and this is our first virtual podcast. We have Chris Cova. Chris, what's up, baby?
How you doing, guys? Thanks for having me.
And then we have, of course, we have Jordan Jimiola.
What up? Welcome back.
Dude. Yeah, we're back. But Chris, thank you for joining us. We're just doing this because yesterday, as you guys know, the events happened with Donald Trump at the Pennsylvania rally. He was shot at, and it was confirmed. And Jordan and Chris, I'm sure with you guys, same as me, like my phone blew up. People were texting and calling. And of course, Chris, as you would probably know, the first person I called was Jordan. But of course, he has kids and family, so rightfully so, he couldn't answer. But I sent a text. I'm like, bro, turn on the TV. Like, Donald Trump's been shot at. This is crazy. So I want us to go over that and talk about it. Chris, we respect you and we love you, man. You've served in the military. You've done very well for yourself, and you're very well spoken. So it's been, I think, 3 months for us since we've been back on or so because my house is being rebuilt. So that's why we haven't been doing the podcast. But studio's up and going now. So anyways, let's get this started. I do want to see what you guys kind of think about what happened yesterday. There's a lot we can talk about here. So let's be real. We could probably go for hours. We're going to try and keep this to about 20, 30 minutes. But Donald Trump being shot, seems like it was a young guy on a roof. And I'll just give you my quick opinion. I think he was absolutely protected and saved by God's grace, straight up. Because that could have been pretty bad. There's always different ways to think of this, like it was a psyop or it was staged. But I do think that the Secret Service failed yesterday. It didn't do well. So I'll let you guys kind of take it from there. You tell me your thoughts on yesterday. It's pretty wild.
We actually just got back home and was getting ready to jump in the pool with the kids. And my wife was like, oh my God. There was a shooting at the Trump rally, and then it was like, oh my God, Donald Trump got shot. I'm like, what? Like, okay. You know what I mean? Like, it just at first, and then so it's like, obviously I grabbed the phone, and then, yeah, I missed a bunch of calls and texts, and so, it was kind of early on in it too, so they didn't know who it was, little bit of information that wasn't out there. But I don't know, if I'm being honest, like, I got really, like, mad. Like my initial reaction was like, what the, and again, right, whether it's like you said, because I'm sure like it's all conspiracy, psyop, running, DOJ, depending on where you stand politically and how you've been following a lot of stuff with Trump, or it's either way, or it's just a crazy person. But that was my first thought process was like, I have a little bit of like SWAT background and like just having been involved with a couple things to like understand the thoroughness of prepping an area and making sure the security checks and especially high ground on everything. I mean, I'll leave my personal experience out of it as far as what it was for. It was but for high profile people that it was very, very, very covered, so to have someone like Trump, whether, again, is it too polarizing? Not, there's always a lot of people that seem to show up at the rallies and support. And I personally just figured, I'm like, man, the security detail has got to be insane on these things. So as this was kind of coming out, it was like, there's a couple videos of people saying like, yeah, we saw someone crawling on there and we were screaming for law enforcement to come over. And it, and again, when people say 5 minutes, it could easily have been a minute, because sometimes in these moments, times move so slow, so it's like, it's like you got to keep a little bit of leeway. But either way, to have someone, it's like, okay, they crawled up on there, they had to get in position. I'm assuming they either had to put their gun together or how did they get that in, or was it stowed away? There's a lot of questions in there where you're just like, man, whether it was on purpose or not, I mean, the security detail looks like they dropped the ball. I mean, they were able to like at least shoot back quick. And I got some questions, especially for you, Chris, when it comes to watching some of those videos. But either way, it was just a crazy situation and kind of a whirlwind of emotions for me, at least personally, because I'm like thinking, oh my God, is this, I text you like Tim. I was like, dude, that was like a half inch away from like, in my opinion, like a potential civil war or something starting.
Oh, dude,
You know,
100%, 100%.
So either way, I'm glad he's okay, and my heart goes out to the person that got killed, because there was one that this is kind of gets overlooked a little bit in all of this, but there's a bystander in the crowd that got shot and is now dead.
Yeah, that's a bummer,
And
dude. It's like, look, politics are politics, right? I may be a Democrat, you guys may be Republican, or you could be Green Party, I could be a Libertarian, whatever. We should be able to agree to disagree or agree to agree and shake hands and find somewhere to meet in the middle. Nobody should die over politics, not in the United States. I mean, how this country was fought and bought for with blood of our, let's be real, our ancestors, the people that found this country, was a high price. Even to this day, Chris, you served in the military. I grew up in a military home. You have seen firsthand the sacrifices for our freedoms and what we have.
That's right.
Yeah, and I really think that it's been taken for granted. I think we, I hate to say this, but probably have had it too good for too long. Nobody should go to a rally and be killed. Well, I don't to me, I'm just kind of like, what in the heck is happening with our country? It's sad. And you have a great point, Jordan. I think we know Trump got shot, and there's amazing photos, which I'm going to put up on here. But what about the civilian who's just there to hang out maybe with family, friends, and support Trump? That's a sad thing. I would bet Trump is probably going to send some money their way and pay for funeral costs or something like that. I guarantee he'll probably do that.
I could definitely see that. Yeah, for sure. I think with the civilian, I had a conversation. So the way I found out yesterday, I was on a thread with a bunch of veterans yesterday that I studied film with at film school, and one of the younger guys, Trump was there was attempted assassination on Trump, and I was like, he's kind of one of those guys where you question everything you hear. So I was like, I look it up really quick, don't see anything. And I'm like, hey man, let's keep politics out of this thread. That's what I said.
Yeah.
And because it's a very diverse thread about like 20 individuals, right? So
it's a group chat. That could suck.
It's a group chat, right? Yeah. So I'm constantly looking the next 10 minutes looking for something. I can't find anything. And I don't have the TV on, so I'm just searching, Googling, and nothing pops up, so I don't think anything of it. But then 30 minutes later, ding, 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 start getting notified. I'm like, oh, wow, okay, something did happen. Still didn't realize he was shot in the ear, like Jordan said, half inch away from a civil war, right? Like that's,
oh, dude,
I think that was a huge point right there.
Mm-hmm.
And then find out that he's shot in the ear, and then I start seeing the playback, and immediately started thinking about the civilian, right? That was kind of like an afterthought. So hopefully, God, peace goes out to their family. Hopefully, God can comfort them. But it's one of those things. Immediately, I thought was like, wow, you shouldn't have been there. It was one of those things that I like, almost like when there's a victim of a drive-by shooting at a party in the hood.
Yeah.
But because honestly, that's where these political rallies have come, because there has been violence in the past, right?
Yeah.
There's fights that break out. There's a bit of a mob mentality, and it could get disorderly really, really quick. And but at all these events, there's usually a buttload of security, right? Like out of nowhere, security is coming. So to you guys' point, I think Secret Service dropped the ball completely.
Yeah.
I know how I've been working in the government most of my adult life. And I will say there's some incompetent people. Things don't run as smoothly as you think they would, but then you go behind the scenes, like you all see it, right? In the fire department, and it's like, wait, like, oh, we just don't get paid automatically. No, somebody has to go and like push a button, right? So maybe someone, like, I don't know, maybe someone said, oh yeah, we swept up there. Maybe someone's like, oh yeah, we checked it out already, but then it didn't happen. So I think definitely erring on the side of like incompetence. That's where I would land on this initially, and then looking at looking at some of the other details and researching. I know you said, Tim, that you're doing a deep dive into Twitter yesterday.
Dude,
what did you find?
Yeah, okay, so I know Twitter's changed to X, and people are there's different feelings about it, right? And to me, it is the last place of free speech. And That being said, I would say be careful when you go on there because they show everything's still shown on there. I mean, there's some wild videos, people getting killed, like everything you could think of is still on Twitter. So, but I would say within the first hour of Trump being shot, like the news isn't going to put up a bunch of, civilian photos and videos and pictures. Like we would hope they're going to wait until they have the concrete evidence and know what exactly is happening before they say he's been shot, right? Which I still think is being downplayed by mainstream media right now. They're saying different verbiage instead of saying, hey, he was shot at, right? But
That's true.
As soon as
well, the first one was...
So I went on Twitter and, dude, like I said, within the first hour, there's video of the Secret Service sniper capping this guy right after, you could see the sniper was honed in on this dude. And you see Trump speaking, he's turning his head, and he's like looking up and then back in his scope, and then the guy fires, and he goes back to scope and shoots him. Right? You're kind of like, well, wait a minute, what? Why didn't he pop that guy's nugget as soon as he saw him with a rifle on a roof? Right? Does it
almost look like there was like a moment of disbelief?
Okay,
like from the person, like because it's like the profile shot, and he looks up, and then he like goes back in, and I think that's where look, the reason why is gonna be that's gonna be up to whatever you're gonna believe, psycho person, psyop, let him do it, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know. I kind of think Trump's been persecuted quite a bit through this process, but I think this is also a very extreme situation.
Right.
And I lean towards the just a catastrophic response to a very serious situation.
Yeah.
But I think what's interesting is that we're seeing in a very short notice that everyone all of a sudden is a tactical expert. Everyone all of a sudden is like, oh, they dropped the ball. I mean, I just watched something that it was like, and again, I'm not against some of the stances that I'm seeing, but I think it's ironic that things are being said so confidently that, it's like, dude, you're taking out the factors for human error completely. And, so, I mean, did they drop the ball as far as not seeing someone in there? Yeah, but if you're scanning, let's say you're a sniper, right? Or whatever it is, if you say you're playing a freaking video game, dude, if you're sitting on top and you're scanning an area because this is your area that you're designated to scan, because that's how this works, right? You're responsible for sections. That's how you break it down as far as span of control and things like that. You're telling me that you've done this 100 times and you've never seen someone pointing with a gun back at you, and it doesn't mean you shouldn't react fast. It just means that split second of IDing something and not either being like, boom, pull the trigger, or what the, and then pull the trigger is the difference of someone getting a round off. And in this case, obviously clipped the president's ear and took someone out, and they responded fast to it. It's just like the amount of grief that's coming from it. I'm like, dude, I'm not a specialist. I'm not a sniper. I have no experience in that. I'm not the person for that job. But I also and I know there's people out there that dedicate their life to this and their profession, and that's what we hope for. Because when you made the comment about the fire service, I was actually explaining this to my wife. It was like, look, if you've been in the fire service for 15 years, and let's say you've promoted up the ranks, and now you're in charge of a group, but you've never been on a real incident, like a real bad one.
That's a good point.
How is anyone expect you to, I mean, look, you train, you simulate, you try the best you can, but when you actually see something in front of you and you're the one that's the shot caller, that's where the difference of people who are great and people who are just really good trained people come into hand. Not everyone's going to respond in the same way that we would hope that they do. Now, obviously, I hope that the the Secret Service is like the elite of the elite. But when you're watching a group of gals in front of the motorcade fumble to put their guns back into their holsters, it's going to, it makes people, and this isn't, look, I'd be freaking out. I'd probably piss my pants, if I'm being honest. 100%. You know what I mean? I'm not saying I'm a tough guy at all, because I'm not. I'm just saying that I would hope that they're hiring the tough people that can act in those moments. But again, we're ruling out the fact that they're people, So again, there's so many ways that this is going to go, and like where my brain goes versus how I feel about it in the moment versus 10 minutes later after reading something, it kind of keeps fluctuating, you know?
Right.
But anyway.
I think Jordan, like all your points, bro, like that's ground zero. Like that's the place to start, right? Where you like everything else could be true, right? Like, but I don't think the sniper, the Secret Service agent, whoever, I don't know what agency he works for, I don't think he knew what he was looking at, right? He didn't know that was going to happen. He wasn't part of if there's some kind of play like op or false flag or stage or whatever.
Totally.
He didn't know, right? And and he and we could play what Sunday morning sniper, you know, like we could
Totally, yeah.
oh yeah, man.
Right.
Call of
Yeah.
Duty, right? Like but at the end of the day, like, you know, I think we can speak to someone's ineptness or like, you know, they stumbled, they dropped the ball, whatever it is. Yeah, that happened. It's on video, right? Like he reacted, had a look, and then he's like, no way, disbelief. Let me take the shot. So I think like that is a fact. Like that's something that we could all like go from, and then like the conversation from there. I think we have to trace our way back to that point, and then maybe we can find like a rational place and land somewhere like, oh, okay, maybe like this is actually what happened, or instead of like I've seen, you know, I have a lot of right wing friends who are on the right, and they're just putting out a bunch of disinformation, right? Like along with some really funny memes. That's right.
They're the best memes, dude.
The best. But I know you have some on deck, Tim.
Oh, yeah.
I know
Yeah,
you're in the
I got
holster
some
just
for you,
ready.
dog.
And so there's just so much. I think just as men of action, who we are, like men who've worked within the government, who hold down jobs, who have families and support the community we live in, we always have to like remain rational and reasonable first and foremost, even if just in public. In private, yeah, like okay, like there's some crazy shit going on, I think, for sure.
Yeah, it's you guys are right. I mean, if you think about it, right, you're okay. Let's think about this. You're in the military, Chris, right? Can you imagine me or Jordan coming in, and let's just say, just because we've been in the fire service over 15 years in leadership quality, whatever you think, right? They say, hey, you're in charge of this battalion. Take them into war. We're gonna fail. There's no experience there. There's nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no
Unless
way
there's
I'm
a
going
fire.
to be able to lead you guys. Right? Yeah. Like,
You bet your
guys,
ass, Chris. Thumbs on fire. We're good. But outside of that, just because you are what you are doesn't mean you're meant to lead 1,000 people into battle.
True.
Right.
Like the experience, right? The experience there, and I mean, those are such valid points because we can sit back and watch these videos. We were not there. Okay, most of the people in America was not there, so I can't tell you what the person holding the phone or taking the pictures truly saw, right? So, yeah, maybe it's those guys' first times. You can have all that training, just like we do in the fire service, but until you actually start fighting fire and making rescues and cutting people out of cars, go to paramedic school, start, doing CPR on people and giving medication, like you won't know until, as we call it, the Rolodex. You're like, oh, yeah, I remember I've been on this, right? You can flip through like, okay, I've been on a person who's had a heart attack. I've been on a person who's broke a bone. I've run calls where somebody was trapped in a car. I got to cut them out, right? But until you get those Rolodex, it's like, yo, what are we going to do here? I have no idea. So, and what I want to say about that is that's the human factor, right? You have to think about the human factor behind everything, right? We're not perfect people. Even people in leadership or in these specialty programs like the Secret Service or in, the Green Berets or Navy SEALs, they may be the top of the top, but they're still not perfect people. We still fail, right? That's one of the biggest things I tell people about, especially coming back to my faith, right? The biggest issue I had with it a long time ago is the people. The people in the church, the people, the leadership, right?
People.
And not
It's all about the
understanding
people.
that they fail. They make mistakes. They stumble just like I do. They still have problems, So I think it's the biggest thing behind this. We won't, until the investigation's over, we truly won't know. But there was a video that I did see where did you see the guy getting an interview with that Trump 2024 hat on with like the hair, right? He was saying,
yeah,
hey,
it was like the the redhead, like ginger dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys saw that, right? Where
When
he
you
was
say
saying
that, is
Right.
that's not mean, right? He's
yeah, hey,
fair skin with red hair.
ginger's a ginger, baby. Let's go.
I think the hair's part of the hat, right?
Yeah,
I
there.
thought,
Yeah, it's one of those ones where the hair comes
Okay.
off.
Tripping
No,
out.
it's part of that. I wish I
Okay.
should have pulled that out so I could bring it up.
If that really is his hair, though, he needs to get back on TV. That's pretty sick.
That's
Yeah.
epic.
I don't know how much I believe him, but you guys remember what he's saying? He was saying, we saw him up there. We were telling the police there's a guy on the roof of that Connex box where that little building was, and they didn't really do anything, right? So there's still things in question where you're like, I don't know. So if you guys saw that video, what's your thoughts on that?
So like you've run medic standby for like large events before,
Yes.
right? You know when like a missing persons thing comes in, like or like a kid, like someone finds a kid wandering off, and like it's a very common occurrence. And this is obviously is not on the same level of severity, but what I mean is like when you have split groups of people that are in charge of different areas, the talking, the back and forth, again, when I explain this, I'm not trying to like make excuses. I'm just trying to put like
Perspective.
there's the reality of how things work, right? So if you're in charge of a section and you're hearing, let's say there's 1,000 people in your section, that's 1,000 comments, that's 1,000 things you're constantly scanning, you're looking around, you're doing all this stuff. And if you see some guy with a wacky hat on and he's screaming, "Hey, there's someone on the roof." I mean, how many times does someone say that
That's so
at
true.
every event? And again, it doesn't mean that you don't investigate that, because that is a very important thing to investigate. What I'm just saying is that when that guy's delivering the story and saying, "Hey, we were screaming," and I think he used 2 to 3 minutes was the time frame of what he was saying for that, and it very well can, what he's saying is absolutely true. I'm not saying that he's making anything up. Sometimes 2 to 3 minutes, let's say it's 30 to a minute and a half of what the real time might have been, or let's say it was that. Either way, if that guy's screaming, and for whatever reason that officer or Secret Service member or security detail, whatever they were, if they were not in a good vantage point, if they looked up, didn't see him, went right back to scanning, if there was, or hey, put the call out, hey, was someone saying there's something on top of the roof, can someone give me a quick check, right? Does that quick check mean, okay, there's 30 seconds to receive, 30 seconds to look, 30 seconds to confirm, 30 seconds to this? So now we're building a timeline of, no one's a superhero. We don't have supersonic speed. We just have gut intuition and ability to respond to whatever is like reactive state, right? So I can see that all these things can be correlating as true. They could have been screaming. The cops could have been in the same time trying to figure out what that was. I have no idea how big the building was in relation to like my height. So if I was 20 feet away and this is 30 feet tall, I'm not seeing someone sitting in the center of this thing, and if that means getting calls out and you think that there's no traffic going on the radio, like we have very high tech stuff at our agency, and we constantly get shut out on incidents when there's multiple things happening because people talking over each other.
Oh my God.
So there again, there's human error, there's technology error, and then there's maybe gut intuition, which is also human error of like seeing something like these and that. And I'm not dogging, dude. That sniper took a crack shot in about a split second, and apparently he's the one that hit him. So
I wish I could take that shot. Yeah, you did.
Right? So it's like, again, it's a shitty situation. I think that they did the best they could. Did they drop the ball with scanning and keeping out as tight perimeter, and or maybe, again, maybe it's the pre-scanning, because again, like, how'd this guy get in? How did he put his gun together? How was he able to crawl up a side, get in a position? Because that is not they said it was 146 yards, right? So 1.5 football fields. And if anyone's ever shot a gun, even with the scope on it, you're not just going to pull that thing up and be able to sit into it. That guy was in a prone position. He moved into an advantageous spot to take a shot, right? So it did take time. So in that matter, it's like there's a lot of things going on. It's like, okay, so this guy missed out. People were yelling. They're trying to get confirmation. In the meantime, first shot goes out. Sniper responds. It's over, right? Well, if you listen to the video, it sounds like there's like 4 or 5 shots. So maybe it's snipers shooting from different angles, because there's more than 2 people off the ground in these kind of situations. So it's crazy, and I think like what you're saying, Chris, it's like at the end of the day, ground zero. This is where we're at now. The
Yeah.
speculative reasoning behind it. That's what I'm assuming in the next couple days we're gonna get. I forgot the kid's name. It was some 20-year-old. That the names come out of who the shooter was. Not a lot of detail behind that, but here's where the stories are gonna run. Right? Was he,
Right.
because I saw something and was like, oh, he contributed to the Biden campaign in
Oh, dude, you
2021.
guys,
And
this
it
is
was like, okay, was it $50 or 100,000? I was like, did he
More
go
than
somewhere
me.
here? I'm sorry. What?
More than me, I said. That's what he contributed.
So just
Yeah,
so you
but
guys know, I just pulled up the news, and yes, people, I pulled up Fox News. Whatever, if you don't like it, whatever. The victim at the rally is a former fire chief.
No way.
He was heroically shielded his wife and daughters from the bullets. Is what
Oh
the
my
were
God.
saying. Dude, God bless him, man. That's a man right there, dude, protecting his family.
That's
That's sad.
That's it. That
That's
is
freaking
very sad.
dude. So now, I want to play devil's advocate here, gentlemen.
Let's do it.
Okay. We all know, like, every conspiracy theory that has come out since like 2019, 2020 has pretty much been true, right? We know that JFK was killed by the CIA.
Oh man, we're going here.
I don't know that.
I just want to throw
Is
it
that
out
something?
there.
Okay.
I just want to throw it out there because, look, you're in the military, Chris. Jordan and I both love conspiracy theories, but let's be very honest right now. Donald Trump is a massive threat to the Democratic Party and to the big three-letter word agencies, right? CIA, FBI. There's a few others, right? He wants
IRS.
IRS. He wants to clean them out because they were all backing Biden and all the illegal whatever stuff they were doing, right? So he wants to clean house. When you start going after those big three-letter agencies like that, I would say you might want to watch out. If they got the balls to kill Kennedy.
Yeah, well, so that's so funny. I was just talking to my wife about this, like literally right before I logged in. So I was all fired up on I'm fascinated with the JFK stuff.
Yes.
Just because, and again, I'm not saying a particular group did it. I just think there was more than one person involved, and I kind of fall under the Lee Harvey Oswald didn't act alone thought process in it, and only because of a lot of information that has come out well after the fact. You can build the argument like you're saying, like most notable thing, or one most notable. There's a lot of things that happened, but with JFK, right, fired the head of the CIA.
Yeah.
Who ended up becoming the lead on his autopsy. Ew. But again, right, for differentials of opinion of where we wanted to be utilizing our military outside of a potential conflict directly with the United States. That's the big thing, right? We go to the Bay of Pigs, we go to the issues with Cuba, we go coming off the Korean War, and then not wanting to engage with Vietnam, right? So take that for whatever you want. Conflict of interest, also threatened to, change things up, ends up getting assassinated, and then the story it gets wide after that. So to say that the potential possibility of wanting to get Trump out of there, I think is absolutely a potential. Now to the extent of assassination, I don't know, man. A lot of weird things happen, and I mean, I my first thought is that, like, I'm like, oh, I can't believe this, but then it's like, okay, you also have to understand, like, and I'll play the devil's advocate for this also, as far as like, if you're looking at it from the other party's angle, is the point to potentially start a civil war worth it? Is it truly worth it? Not as it like, oh, we'll show them, because I mean, again, I was talking about this yesterday a little bit, of saying like, man, what a ploy this could be to do an attempted assassination, to try to fire up the extreme right-wing people, to do something crazy right before the election happens, so that you can be like, hey, even though Biden is a babbling idiot, in my opinion, he's still going to be a better set than the propagating potential of someone, that can rally up people that are willing to do crazy shit, right? So like, as far as like looking at it from the other side of it, but then the reality of that is like, yeah, okay, that could make sense, but I don't think that it's going to be like just rallying up a couple folks that do some crazy stuff. I'm talking like you have a massive group of people that if there was talk of I know the quote unquote civil war or whatever that would even look like I don't think that that's something that either side wants to happen, truly, because now we're talking about loss of absolute control of governing power. And I think that we put a lot of faith and hope in our government systems and military for protection. But if the United States really decided to be like, hey, we're going to do this, I don't think that it really matters a whole lot, because we have so many people here that even if we had 700,000 military folks that were trying to disarm people, there's enough blowback that it would be catastrophic for both, parties, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, what did the Japanese say in World War II? Why they didn't really try to invade America? I think the quote was, "They have more guns than they do blades of grass."
Nice.
I mean,
Yeah, there would be a lot of bodies in the
Chris?
street.
Go for it, man.
There would be a lot of bodies in the street, right, with the Civil War. Like, I think that's my take on it. That's why I don't want it to happen. That's why I'll do anything for it not to happen. I don't want to. I don't want my neighbor to fight against. I don't want to see neighbor against neighbor, or brother against brother, father against son. Like, and that's what it will be like. Block against block. It'd be insane, right? Like this urbanized giant nation going head to head, right? And this assassination attempt, because that's what it was, has the temp. He doesn't even have to die. The temp has the ability to cause unrest, right? Like that, on that degree. And like you were saying, Jordan, like there's devil's advocate. It's like, did the left set this up to incite violence in the right? So the right looks like they're insane. So we look like we're moderate, and like we're gonna keep the point is that we're not gonna like allow like a civil war to happen, right? And violence in the streets, and it's what we have right now may not be the law and order that you guys want, but it's still better than bodies in the street. So I could definitely see that. I think my initial like conspiracy, like gremlin, as I like to call him,
I like that.
he's in there. He's in there. He's just like he's clawing away, right? Like at reason and rational thought. But at the same time, he's connecting dots like that are like insane, right? So like my initial thought was like some type of false flag operation, because man, just one, he got shot in the head and didn't die. That's like remarkable, right? Like again, an inch to the right, he's done, right? And like maybe centimeters to the right. And so I think I was like, okay, false flag, Gardner support. He's got 34 counts that he's still facing. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Like
he's
let's
thug, dude. He's gangster.
Yeah, for sure. Let's maybe a little wag the dog, right? Let's take the spotlight somewhere else. This fool is gangster. He survived an assassination attempt. They got the media. He's over there with his fist
dude,
up.
Look, come on, dude. Let's get one of the greatest pictures of all time going on.
Maybe
drop this in here.
I'm gonna make a T-shirt with that. The one who's like,
with the gangster glasses and the joint hanging out the side.
Just a little stick out the side.
Oh, there it is.
Dude, you can't tell me how thug that is, dog.
That's the composition alone, right? It's a great photo. It's super good photo.
I haven't seen that one yet, dude.
I mean, that's a parental advisory, but dude, like that. You know what, Chris? You said it to me before we started. I don't know if you want to remember and speak on that, but if I was in his situation, the second that bullet whizzed by my ear and I fell to the ground, I don't know if I would have the wherewithal to get up and throw my fist up and say fight.
He knew exactly what he was doing. That's a powerful
man. If you want to speak on that, dude.
No, I just like we were talking. Like he knew exactly what he was doing. He chose like he took the moment and
Yes.
he made the best of it. And because he's that type of person, right? He's adaptable. He's constantly thinking on his feet. He's a businessman. He knows how to make something and bring it to his side, to his can't think of the word right now, advantage. And he totally was right there in the moment. And for that, I have like admiration for, just as the celebrity, the TV star that he is, right? To just be in the frame of mind to like, hey, fight.
like make it a
Look
marketing
at
point.
Do you guys see
yeah.
this? Look at this thing.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That
That's
picture right
real.
there is going to
That's
be in
real.
history books. That dude, that's Chris, 100%. That is, oh my gosh, I'm trying to cuss, but that's some real shit.
It is, dude.
That's hard.
And you know, I mean, like you're saying, Chris, is like the kind of the vibrato of being able to turn something that, I mean, look, if I got clipped in the ear when I was speaking, I'd probably be crying on the ground.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm kind of painting myself as a picture like I'm not a real strong guy, but I don't think that's true. But I'm just being honest. Like, I've never been shot at, and I would think like, or at least in that split second of being like, oh my God, what am I doing?
Yeah.
You know, like, is everyone okay around me? Like, you know, I just got shot in the ear, you know, but like to get up and be like, we're not good, nice try, buddy. You know, like that kind of thing. Like, I don't know. It doesn't do anything but press his marketing up. And I mean, it's already been kind of going in an upward trajectory, even after all the money things with Stormy Daniels. Although I did see, and this was from a comedian, Mark Norman, so this is not from me, but he posted a tweet that said, now we've both been shot in the face. And it said, quote, Stormy Daniels.
Oh.
Hey, it was the timing was not very nice, but I thought, damn, that was hilarious. That's, you know, I mean, obviously, you know, he's okay, so I guess it makes it better. But, I mean, dude, just either way, we witnessed a very historical event. You know, I mean, there's a lot of crazy shit that's been going on in the last few years, and then a lot of stuff building up to the election. I think everyone is aware that election season is going to be nuts, and scandals and debacles and kind of crazy things. I mean, they happen with every election season. Yeah. Now, this one happens to be a pretty crazy one, and you know, especially coming off the debate and the you know how Joe Biden sounded, and then you know it's nuts. It's sad as an American, I think, to think that we're in that kind of situation where this can happen. And in all honesty, dude, whether it was Trump or Biden or anybody, you know, it's like, look, I do not like Joe Biden at all. I'm not a fan, but he's the president, and I'll respect that. But it doesn't mean that I want to see him get shot. It doesn't mean that I want to see anybody that I have any political that I disagreement on, that it's worth you know, having someone publicly being murdered. You know, that's not okay. I thought we're a better country than that. You know, I mean, look at the elections that just happened in Mexico. You know, the lady that won was like the 25th candidate that wasn't murdered over the last 2 years that was running in opposition of the presidency down there.
Oh, wow.
You know, now that's extreme. It's very extreme. And I'm not saying we're anything like that, but we definitely open the door to that kind of shit when we allow this to happen here.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I think we're better than that. I know we're better than that. And all the political discourse and firing people up, whether you're for it or against it, you know, at the end of the day, going back to like what you said, Tim, like there has to be some kind of civil like understanding. And that's really easy to say right now. It's super easy. You know, someone's not screaming in my face, telling me that I'm an idiot and using all the backyard words that normally lead into a fight. But at the end of the day, you got to be stronger than the keyboard in front of you. And because some people write some mean shit on there doesn't mean that everyone feels that way about it. Really good. And there's a lot more people that are in the middle that can be able to rationalize stuff. Even if we do disagree at the root cause of it, we can still talk to each other. And that's what it's about. And, you know, I'm hoping that this pendulum of insanity can kind of swing back towards the center a little bit, you know, because it's never going to be perfect. I don't think anyone expects it to be. Well, actually, it's probably not true. Probably a lot of people expect that. But, the reality of it is that we need to get back to a little bit more of a civil discourse about things. And I hope that maybe this shakes it up enough to where people start going like, ah, man, I might hate this MFer, but, I don't want to see him die.
Yeah.
That's not
Or
okay.
what you don't want to see what happens if he dies, right?
Well,
Like it's not worth
100%.
it's not worth you. Oh man, I wish he was pushing up daisies, right? Like but we don't like will occur. People aren't thinking that even far ahead, right? Because they're
Yeah.
so just like you said, like the keyboard, the screen, it's just right in front of them, and they're just responding to stimuli, right? Boom, 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 all day, every
Right.
day. And I think going back to like the conspiracy part of it, false flag on either side, right? It was if it was an incident that was orchestrated to manipulate public perception.
Okay, so
Either
real
way,
quick,
either
Chris,
way. Mhm.
can you explain to people just so they know for people who don't know what false flag means? Can
Mhm.
you give like a short, just so they know what you're talking about when you say a false flag?
Okay, yeah. How would I explain that?
Yeah, I don't.
I think yeah.
Like a fake assassination,
It's a,
maybe. Is that the best
yeah,
way?
it's a false flag is a covert operation designed to deceive
Okay,
the public,
got it.
right? And there's another term. It's called wag the dog. Is when usually the dog's wagging the tail, but instead the tail is wagging the dog. So you're looking. So there's a lot of political terms, and I think the term originates from a naval operations, like flying
Okay.
false colors, right, and
Oh yeah, yeah, I get it.
to deceive enemy ships,
Okay.
and it's so usually performed by one group or part of the government, but appears to be done by another. So a lot of the people, a lot of right wing conspiracy theorists about when they talk about the school shootings and things like that, they claim it to be false flag operations as well.
Right.
Okay.
And again, like, right, just it's like an incident used to propagate a basically whether it's like support or like to or to create opposition,
Right, and
depending on what.
justify a particular course of action
Right.
because something happened. Right? Oh, school shootings. Let's take away the guns. Like that's the
Right. Yeah. Like,
create
or yeah,
something to solve the problem.
right.
In a way, right?
Exactly.
I got
Mhm.
you.
it was like the first thing that popped up in my head. It was like the Iraq War. Like there's like
WMD.
weapons of mass destruction, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, we found them, guys. They're over here, and they're like, well, yeah, this place seems like they wouldn't be good if they had a bunch of nukes. But then
Speaking of
opened the
Iraq,
door.
it makes me think of Bush. I mean, that dude did dodge 2 shoes that one time.
Oh, that's right.
He's
That's
like, hey,
right.
who threw that?
I remember that. Yeah, dude. You
Dude,
can't
that
go
was
left, right, dude. It's like,
that's a classic.
yeah.
Yeah, he's dude, classic video.
unscathed. And then
Unscathed.
Trump's like, "Let me put my shoes on." I
Oh.
don't know. Maybe there's a connection. My gremlin, my conspiracy gremlin.
Dude, that was like, or that was when Reagan, when the balloon popped, and he was like, "You missed me."
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Out of nowhere, it was like, oh,
Yeah.
but that was after the assassination attempt. So
Yeah. Well,
But,
Chris, dude, there's one thing. What for you? Because I love how you texted me when this happened. I was texting
Mhm.
Jordan, and then you didn't even say, "Did you hear what happened?" This and that. You said, "Psyop, false flag." Like you gave me all the scenarios. Like, what do you think it is?
Right.
So
Lone
what
shooter.
what was your initial reaction? And like, what do you think? Do you think false flag? I mean, could it be Joe Biden, CIA,
Right. I mean, who knows better than the government and the people within the government how incompetent people within the government are, right? So going back to ground zero of where we begin the conversation is someone dropped the ball. Did they take advantage of that? If like that's what would have to happen, right? Someone would have to know like, hey, this person sucks at like checking the perimeter or like this and this, or like they're going to turn and you can walk behind them. And so like if there's a lot of groups and a lot of people involved, it would take a lot of people, and it would take a lot of people in the know and within the agencies, or like I think I mentioned, like, or just some dude who just like crime of
I
passion
mean, right.
almost.
It could be as simple
Right?
as
He's
that,
like,
right?
I can climb up on this roof right here.
Yeah.
I got a gun in the car.
Yeah.
I could take that shot. No one's
Well,
checking it out.
what's
You
that
know?
saying
And
that
that
they
could,
always say, right? The safest place to be is in the heart of the lion's den. They wouldn't
Mm.
suspect you to be there, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's like, again, whether it's the psyop, where there was multiple people involved with, maybe whether it's saying, let's say it's looking past something, right, to allow
Mhm.
something to take place, and then
Exactly.
half the people, let's say it doesn't have to be half, it could be like 3 people. It could be the people that were, hey, you're in charge of this area, and that guy looks away, which I'm
Hmm.
sure there's going to be some investigation on multiple aspects of this, like a crazy amount. So
They.
there's going to be so much stuff coming out. And then you're going to see, like, dude, give it a week. You're going to see every person that's on the Secret Service. You're going to see who their campaign donors are. You can see who they voted for in the past. Any posts that come up, they're going to take this
Wow.
and they're going to
Look at that.
split it as much as possible to either push that up or knock it down. That idea of there being like an inside job, right?
Mhm.
You're going to see funding. I've already seen it today with that there was request like 2 weeks ago to beef up the Secret Service people for Trump's rallies, and that got shot down from up top. Now it got shot down by a Democratic person, and that doesn't mean, and I'm not saying that means they're in on it. What I'm saying is that the storyline is going to keep pushing. It's going to get pushed from both sides, whether it was uh, the gunman acted alone. But I thought I heard a pretty compelling, not compelling, but I definitely something that would say that this could lean more to a crazy person who happened to get extraordinarily lucky to be in the position. And
Yeah.
the comment was that it's only a matter of time when you paint somebody as a Hitler fascist that someone's going to feel like empowered enough to do something crazy to take this person out.
Mm-hmm.
And I sat on that for a second because at first it was like, it's almost like I've kind of become numb to hearing like, oh, Trump's Hitler, Trump's a fascist, Trump's a Hitler fascist, he's a nationalist, all this stuff, right? And it's like, is it that I've become used to hearing that, so I don't think of it as such? I'm like, well, that's aggressive. I'd be like,
Right.
I don't think Joe Biden's Stalin. I don't think that he's Mao. I don't think that he's an absolute communist like ruler.
Just an
There's a
old
lot of
dude.
socialists. What's that?
Just an old dude.
Just an old dude who can't talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
even think, honestly, I don't even think Joe Biden's the problem. He's just a sock puppet at this point. But
like
either way, whatever, the organization, the people that he has around him, it doesn't matter. What
Mhm.
matters is when we use rhetoric and we use ways of describing people, it goes back to oh my gosh, he was a Nazi official, Goebbels.
Goebbels.
He has
Yeah.
he has a famous quote that if you tell somebody a lie long enough, they're going to believe it. And I think there's a lot of truth to that, because look at what we're doing right now. We have the ability to get on here and talk to people and reach out to people that maybe are interested, not interested, learning, supporting, against, whatever. But we have the ability to say stuff at our level here. We're not talking about mass media. We're not talking about take whatever TV show on there that's for or against something. But as a public, when we're sitting here watching this, because that's what we're addicted to, right? The knowledge, the news, the entertainment, all this stuff. When we hear something enough, it maybe, it doesn't click with everybody in the same way. But I was like using that example. It's like, oh, I've heard, like when I first used to hear people call Trump Hitler, I'd be like, you're an idiot, dude. You know how bad Hitler was? You're putting him in that category? Like, you may not
Right.
like this person, but calling someone what I would consider one of the most evil people that existed, like, that's a pretty crazy comparison. But then if you go on, Maxine Waters is slinging that term like it's no big deal. You have other people, other
In the
congressional people.
House, on the floor of the Senate, right? Yeah.
Exactly. And there's no ramification from it. So as a viewer, you kind of get numb to that. You get numb to it, or at least maybe
Or it plants a
you
seed.
believe it.
Yeah, of belief,
Exactly.
right? It's
So-
that political hyperbole, right?
Nice word, dude.
Yeah. It's
I like
just
it.
so exaggerated of statements and claims that aren't meant to be taken literally. But we live in a world today where the common person is taking everything literally, right?
Yes.
And it's it's just like you use rhetoric, right? It's a rhetorical device. Often it's just used by politicians and commentators and pundits these days, where they're just using it to fire us up. And they're like, hey, it may not land over here, right? It might not land right there, but it's going to land on the margins. And then those people on the margins are the one, either way, right? Super like staunch supporters or super staunch distractors. They're going to take it up and they're going to run with it. And I think that's what we've seen. And maybe this young man who shot at Trump was one of those people on the left, and he's like, oh, and he's believing everything, right? He's Hitler, he's a fascist, like you said, and then was it Project 2025, right? Reading about that,
fired up about that.
Yeah, fired up on every side. So I think as I move forward, especially in life, but in this political season, I'm just like an extreme moderate. I'm an extremist. I'm centrist. Like I don't care what you have to say about that or that. What's it going to take to keep my firefighters in their firehouse so they can fight the fires that happen in my neighborhood? What's it going to take for the garbage disposal engineers to?
Very good.
Hey, that's a really good job, dude.
Yeah, you only work once a week.
Those people are.
Yeah, what's it going to take for all these services to continue to happen, for the lights to stay on, for the hospitals to stay open, for schools to keep taking students in, for the roads to get repaved? Like that's what I care about, and that's what I'm going to be voting for, from city level, municipal level, county, state, and all the way up to federal level. And I think maybe this might be a time for moderates to finally stand up and centrists to finally freaking grow. I think there is a backbone, but it's like, you know what? It's just my personality type, right? I'm not going to go out in the streets to like say anything. I'm not going to go to a political rally. That's just not who I am. That's not my personality type. But at the same time, those are the people who are going to like, we're the ones like Samson freaking holding those, like, holding the pillars and holding that shit together, right? If it wasn't for us, like everything would fall apart. Everything. But we get hate. We get hate from both sides. 100%. We're getting hate.
Exactly.
Like, poop
you're like, oh, you're not that.
Weak. Yeah.
You're like, wait, hold on, just a second. You're like, to say that there isn't arguments for both, sides of the aisle. To me is ludicrousy. Like you can't. Insanity. There's no extremes of either, because one extreme creates problems, the other extreme creates problems. Like the answer truly is always in the middle. Unfortunately, the political system seems to propagate both sides as we're splitting. But I think the majority of people is exactly what you're saying. They are centrist, because there's very few people that live in an environment where like one is the perfect situation, and that goes for either side, because it doesn't exist unless. Well, I bet you the only commonality in that is if you're rich, then you're okay.
Okay.
Because it truly doesn't matter who wins. Your life doesn't ever change. It's never really impacted.
It's so true.
And that's why I feel like you can see rich people stand on either side of the aisle and just propagate things because they feel so strongly. Because they're not the middle class, lower middle class. They're not those people that everything that does change absolutely affects you.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, you know what I mean? So that's like when we get into all this kind of stuff, it's just like, I hope one day that you're right. I hope they actually started a party and call it the middle state or the middle ground or the middle something, because I would jump into that. Like, because I'm not super right. I'm not left. I'm not this. I'm right in the middle, because, we live in a dynamic society. There isn't one way that works out for everybody. We have to have differences of, whether it's location, area, socioeconomical stuff, like everything changes. So it's like to think that there's only one way is bad. But when we have these pillars of our government are just constantly slinging the craziest shit at each other, it's like, dude, you are going to spur up a psychopath out there. I mean, look, you mentioned the school shootings earlier, right? There's way too many of them, and it's fucking disgusting and all this stuff. And the fact that any child is in danger of going to school to learn, I can't understand why it even happens. But those people that do it, whether it's, I feel like they're all mentally unstable, but whatever category that falls under, call it whatever you want to call it. but somewhere on the line they feel vindicated because of it, and that's what pushes you to be able to follow through with something. So if it's, like say the one, what was the Texas one, there was a trans person or a non-binary, whatever it was. Okay, whatever the reason was, it's not a good enough reason to do it. So I just want to say that. But whatever it is that triggers them in their head, whether it's they're like, oh, I listened to so and so and they said I feel like this and I'm absolutely allowed to feel like this, and these people hate you for feeling like this. If you eventually hear that long enough, there are going to be some people that break and do something fucking nuts. And what this applies to all these crazy things. So again, right? Because we started detracting. Is it a coordinated effort, lone person? At the end of the day, it could be both. Who knows? But it sucks to hear it, and it's terrible that we're going through it. And I just I wish people would like do due diligence and maybe read a bit more on things. And instead of just hearing something for face value because your favorite TV personality said it was true, doesn't mean that it's actually true. And that goes for both sides of everything. And, when you take the time to research some stuff and maybe understand things, maybe that can be like hey, even though I feel crazy about something, I'm not going to go fucking murder anybody. You know what I mean? And again, this is a fucking stretch. Sorry, I thought I wasn't going to cuss it all, and then
I love the passion, baby.
No.
But and again,
extreme moderate right here.
Yeah, but see, dude, you can't say that because then all of a sudden I'll be like on the no fly list, dude. Like, well, this guy, we're not, because you know what? You're not sure what they're gonna do.
That's why they hate us. That's why they hate us. Because they hate us.
Because you're the most dangerous.
We're the most dangerous.
You're not predictable.
We think for ourselves. Unpredictable. We don't fit a map, right? We don't fit a freaking plot. They can't plot our movement, and it's so important. I think because as they're trying to shape our public opinion, right? They're like, we don't need them. We just need the people who are going to whine the loudest, complain the loudest, be willing to do something like that's out of the ordinary, right? Like shoot at a rally or even go to a rally. I don't know if you guys have been to a rally. I've never been to a rally.
I've never been to one.
Yeah, I don't see myself going to a rally ever. I hate standing around. I hate standing in line and waiting.
Yeah,
I don't even go to concerts. I'm not that. I'm not going to do that. But I think what we all have in common is we're going to do what we have to do every day to support ourselves and our families and be contributing members of this sickness that we all have called life on Earth. We're out here just trying to exist at the end of the day. I think what certain people need to, like, you don't need to, like, some people are like, oh, I need to understand this more. I need to do a deep dive into this or that. It's like, maybe you don't have to understand. Maybe it's okay not understanding what's going on. It's because it's so not understandable. It's just none of it's going to make sense, and then you're just going to drive yourself crazy and start connecting dots that aren't even there, and then you form an opinion that's dangerous. Next thing you know, you're vulnerable to grooming. From the Proud Boys, from the Antifa. And next thing the thing is, like, it's not even you. It's not even your own opinion. It's not even something that came out from the depths of your soul, because you haven't even done the introspective work that's necessary to form like your own thought on life. So I think not certain people, I think all of us just need to take a step back and take measure of what's valuable to us in our lives, and then go from there. But certain people maybe that's a privilege we have. Maybe it is. We're not, like, survival is not. We're not living in survival mode. We're not making decisions out of scarcity. I've been there. I've grown up like that, and it's not a fun place to be. So I can understand how, like, people are like, how paramount certain issues can be to them. But at the end of the day, just stay home. Stay home.
Well, I would definitely recommend that for anyone who is contemplating something crazy. Like, you're better off staying at home than going out and participating in something where you feel like you're going to get riled up to the point of doing something that you're going to regret.
Right.
Now, and then again, and I like what you said, dude, because like, and it's a very true statement. It's like sometimes, and I always, here, I don't want to sound contradictory. I always like kind of tell people like, do your own research.
Hmm.
Like look at, and when I say do your own research, I mean like whatever you think, if you're reading something and you agree with it, try to find something in opposition of it and convince yourself that that opposition isn't strong enough to change your
I
opinion.
like that.
Now,
Hmm.
and I know that like having that mindset on things is not common, like, or isn't as common as it should be.
Hmm.
And that would alleviate a lot of problems. But I think the root issue with what a lot of what we're talking about is that it doesn't equate to entertainment value. It doesn't come up as like, like unless, well, hell yeah, dude, it's not a moneymaker. That's why there's no extreme centrist group that is
We're,
successful.
we're
Because
boring.
if you had a bunch of people come up and try to talk about things rationally,
Yeah.
you would get the lowest ratings of all time, because then you'd be like, I agree and actually disagree with that statement. Here's why. Here's what I agree with. Here's what I
It's
don't.
not
No one's going
sensational.
to want to hear that. And then the counter is like, oh, that's a good point. Well, I'll take that into consideration moving forward of
Yeah.
anything that I'm going to do.
Civil
You just
discourse, right?
you might get eight
Doesn't
people that are
sell.
your family members that tuned in. That's
Yeah.
it. So it is one of those things where like that, and I don't know how that's going to change. We're on like it's like this next generation that we're a part of right now. It's like most information's coming through 30-second reels, right?
Mm. Hmm.
And even though like if you're, maybe like our age, right? I think we're in the kind of category that if I saw something crazy in a reel, I'd be like, whoa, that's weird. Let me look into that. Like
Yeah.
there's no,
Yeah. Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
man, there's no way. But think about it. I mean, we kind of live a part of this like headline status society where if you read the blurb of the headline, that maybe is what you told 8 people that day. And it's like, oh, did you know Joe Biden's a lizard person? His eyes moved around in that one time. Now I'd read that and be like, what? There's lizard
Yeah.
Well,
people? No
it's so
way.
true, right? Most people, I see it on Facebook all the time, right? They only read the headline and then repost it without reading it. And I remember somebody did that, right, to prove a point. He put the headline like President, Trump loves the Lord, right, or something like that, right? Something just super simple. President Trump's a Christian, and then you go in and it's an article just talking trash on Joe Biden. That's all it was, dude. And it was
You're
shared.
like,
I think it was shared like 800 times.
wow.
Right, and then
See,
the people I saw sharing it, they're like, "See, he's a Christian guy. He loves God." It's like you didn't even read the article, dude. It's
dude,
not even about that.
Wow.
We're
Right?
and it's just gonna get more and more. I mean, dude, I remember when the internet first started to become like more like, hey, utilize the information on the internet to help you write like reports and stuff. Because I think I was a senior in high school, and that's when like dial up and net
You
zero
just
and all
aged
that
all of
stuff.
us,
You
dude.
guys
Thanks for
remember
that.
that? Oh yeah, but. But I remember I had a teacher that said like, hey, be careful using certain websites because it may not be what you think it is. And the
Yeah.
example that they used was when Wikipedia first came out. And if you did, because I was writing a book report on Martin Luther King Jr. And if you go to the bottom of where the site source information was from, dude, it was from a website generated by the Klan, is
Oh.
where they pulled all the information. Now, if you read through that, there was nothing that was written that like made Martin Luther King look bad. He looked like an advocate for civil rights and it was very descriptive, all that stuff. But
Right.
at the bottom, if you click the link, it took you to a Klan link,
Yeah, but it's the
and I was
irony of
like,
that, dude. That's just
I'm like,
so
what?
ironic, dude.
Know thy enemy,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
right. So, well, 100%.
Yeah.
But in that, it's like, and that was in the like early days of it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it just gets more and convoluted. And I'm not saying everything on the internet's a lie. It's not. There's a lot of good stuff out there, but there's also a ton of crazy shit and a ton of stuff that isn't true also. And this is the societal battle that we're going to constantly have over and over and over again, unless we can get some rational speaking people in there to be able to, stand for the side or to the center or whatever. But
Yeah.
I think that like the number one thing is rationality. And we have gotten very far away from that, I think, from both political spectrums. And, we listed the reasons of why it's not popular, because it's not.
Yeah.
But the hopes is that, we just had a crazy, crazy, crazy thing happen yesterday. And if anything, hopefully it wakes a couple people up that can be like, whoa, dude, like, I got a Trump is Hitler sticker on the back of my car. Maybe I could take that off. Or maybe I
Yeah.
have, dude, I remember seeing like Obama posters with the Hitler mustache on it and stuff. It's like, look, dude, none of that shit's okay. I mean, there's a difference between having satirical comedy value and propagation of, kind of extremeness. And the hope is that one day, right? Someday, like it's eventually you're gonna be like, yo, dude, this is crazy. We can't be doing this. We can't be shooting at people. I mean, yeah, I may not agree with this person, but I wish them the best. I'm going to do the best to educate people around me for whatever political stances that I have, and then it's going to go to vote. And that's where the democracy side of our republic is created off of. So, at the end of the day, I'm glad Trump's good, but I feel horrible for the person that was shot. And there was 2 other people that were injured, but I think that's I
Prayers go up.
haven't counted. What's that?
Prayers go up to all those people, right? Like that were involved.
Absolutely.
Like that.
Yeah.
That's not cool.
Anyway,
I think there's fault lines, right? There's fault lines that are clear and distinctive within the American political landscape, the social landscape, the cultural landscape, and I think that like what happened yesterday is just a stark warning about the fragility of American society and the dangers of ignoring the underlying fault lines that are there and have occurred, and they never really got covered up or fixed. And
Yeah.
it's just gotta. I don't know. I really don't know how to act except just to continue to be awesome, I guess, in my own life.
My man.
It's
I
the best
wasn't
way to
ready
do
for
it,
that,
dude.
That's my
I don't know how I'm
response.
gonna handle this. Otherwise, I'm gonna crush life and be awesome.
Yeah,
at it
like
every day.
way to end on it. Well,
I think that's
no,
perfect.
Chris and Jordan, thank you guys for coming on this morning. I this went a lot longer than I wanted to, but I really enjoy hearing you guys your thoughts fully come out. I think these are important things to talk about. We have the platform to do it. I'm so glad that you hit me up yesterday, Chris, and were asking me those questions. I'm like, hey, what are you doing tomorrow morning? I know you're going to church because I got to go to church too, but we should talk.
That's right. That's right.
But I do think at the end of the day, no matter who our president is, like even now, I'll just be straight. I didn't support Joe Biden. I don't want him killed. And to be real with you, I actually will pray for him every once in a while because he's the leader of our country. He has to do well for us. We depend on our president to do well, so we don't want him to fail. Do I, believe in what he's doing in a lot of ways? No. Just like if Trump is in, people don't agree with what he's doing, but you still got to support the guy. He's still trying to do what's best for our country. You shouldn't want to see the downfall of this person whatsoever. And we're living in some very tumultuous times, and the best thing you can do, it's kind of honestly like you said, Chris. It's like remember to take care of your family. Like the most important thing at the end of the day, everybody, is your family. You, us, what we do for the people that are directly around us, because when we all got a time limit here. I've said this so many times. At the end of the day, when you pass away, do you think they really care about what your political affiliation was? You know what? I read a statistic, and this will be real quick. When we die, okay, the average eulogy is 8 to 12 minutes. Your life, my life, our lives are summed up in 8 to 12 minutes. You think I really want them to talk about my political affiliation? You know what I'm saying? Use your time wisely. That's the only time we can't. Your time is the only thing we cannot get back. So your 70 years, which is average lifespan around there, if you make it that long, is summed up in 8 to 12 minutes. It's not about your career, how much money you brought in. You can't take your money with you. I've never seen a hearse pulling a U-Haul behind it. I mean, what's your life going to be summed up in 8 to 12 minutes?
Sorry, that was funny. Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. And dude, and that's the thing. You know, I know this is we're talking about the assassination attempt, this kind of turned in a political standpoint, but I think it's good to talk about, because I think it's good to hear, like, or I think it's good for people to hear that, like, you know, there's differencing of opinions, and there's a way to go about things that like civil discourse isn't the answer. And, you know, the things that you can control in your life is yourself, your family. And I mean control, like, I don't mean like being an asshole. I'm just saying, like, the immediate things that you can impact, that you're going to have a direct relation to, is those things. It's your friends, your family, you know, your coworkers that you work with every day.
Yeah.
You know, and those are where you can, you know, either make or break things. And that's what's most important. You know, the political stuff, the outside stuff is important for sure, because you shouldn't, you know, you're like, hey, I don't want to spend more money in this, or hey, I hope they would help these people out more, or hey, I hope I get some help out in certain things, whatever that may be. Being involved with that isn't the problem, but letting that turn into something that can perpetuate heinous acts, that's disgusting. And, you know, I think, like, every couple, you know, every 10 to 20 years, dude, shit happens, stuff goes sideways, it gets crazy, because we're here, we're on Earth, we're human, you know, and, you know, we try to make the best sense of things, and we try to put ourselves in the best possible situations that we can. And I just, you know, I challenge people to, like, if you disagree with somebody, try to talk through it. See if you can have a conversation with somebody instead of calling them a dumbass or an idiot, or, oh, I can't fucking do this because I don't agree with you that much. Try to listen. And even if you still think that that person isn't responding, or in a way, or maybe they're not having a good argument, well, at least you did it, you know, and then you can agree to disagree. And then, you know, you're like, hey, that person sucks at talking about this.
Right.
You know, it's like, it doesn't mean that they're evil, or that they're, you know, something different. I mean, not that there aren't evil people. There are. But, you know, I'm talking about the day to day. Like, it's not a 50-50 out there that half of people are, you know, evil and the other half aren't. I'm saying, like, you know, just extend yourself in a way to be able to talk about stuff, because one, it's going to do one of two things. It's either going to change your mind, or it's going to make your base of, or at least your feelings about something stronger, because you can articulate it, not just because you can call someone a fucking moron and then you shut them down.
Yeah.
You know,
what,
and I think.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, buddy.
Oh, no. I mean, all I'm saying is that, going with that mindset and how you approach things that are differencing of opinion, you know, I think what you find is that maybe something that would fire you up, it won't fire you up if you have a conversation with someone that maybe you feel like you bettered them in the conversation. It doesn't make you more fired up. What it does is it makes you kind of like, I feel, at least for me, I feel like, I'm like, okay, I feel better about it, but it's like, I'm not like, I'm not worried about it as much, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
You know, and again, that's such a broad statement of what I'm saying right now. It's like, I don't want to make it sound like, ooh, you can best people. It's not about that. It's about putting in your situation of learning. It's about understanding. Or maybe, hey, you go like, look, I just talked to somebody that completely disagrees with me on something. I still don't agree with them, but maybe I can empathize with where their mindset's coming from something. So instead of me thinking that person's...
And have respect for them as well.
Yeah, right. Because instead of being like, oh, this person's, you know, fill in whatever expletive, now I just go, okay, well, I can see where that person's coming from. I still don't agree. And maybe, hey, maybe now it's like, maybe I can talk to them and help, you know, whether it's change their mind or help educate them, whatever it is, doesn't matter. But your approach to the situation isn't now, I want to fuck this person up. It has nothing to do with that. It's like, or maybe, hey, instead of being like, I'm going to mess him up physically, be like, I'm going to go talk to him intellectually and play some jiu-jitsu in that game. You know what I mean? And let's try to compete. And that's where the exhibition lies, because it's a mental game, not, hey, I can go out and kick your ass because you feel different than I do. You know? And again, like, dude, it's just, life is nuts. I hate to see the events that happened yesterday. And I hope that this is like a kind of smack upside the head for everybody, that, like, dude, no one's impervious to anything. We're all human, and we can all make mistakes, do great things, suffer bad stuff, get through it together, all this good things that can come from it, you know? So
Well said, dude. Dang.
anyway.
Very
Yeah.
good, dude. Yeah, you can see someone's
That's one cup of
maturity.
coffee, baby.
Yeah. You'll see someone's maturity when you have a disagreement with them and try to have a conversation. That's where you can really tell someone's maturity. And Jordan and I have just dealt with this. That's the worst wedding I've ever been a part of in my entire life.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's just people's emotional intelligence, right? I've always learned, I have had to learn this the hard way too early on in life.
Mhm.
If I respond with emotions, I'm always in the wrong. Like it's something bad happens from it because I'm responding emotionally. Whereas I take a step back, think about what's happening, give it time to breathe, let the emotions cool down, then think about it and talk to the person or the disagreement, whatever it is. It usually works itself out. It's like it's an easy, simple fix, or pretty much usually a misunderstanding. That's how it always starts out. But Chris, dude, thank you so much for joining us on a Sunday morning. Today's July 14th. It is the day after President Trump, his assassination attempt, and we wanted to talk about it. So thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for coming on.
Yeah.
Man.
Thank you for having me. It's always great to riff with you boys. And hopefully we can jam later, you know?
Oh, well, you're coming
Absolutely,
back.
dude.
Trust me.
I
This
was like, we
bar,
should
we're
do it
having
again,
a
but I
lot
don't
more.
mean like post an assassination attempt. We should just
Yeah.
we'll just do another.
Extreme moderates. Yeah, extreme moderates. That's
Is that what we should call this? This
yeah.
episode should be called extreme, moderation or
Extreme
extreme
moderation.
moderatism.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, thanks, Chris. I'll be texting you here in a little bit, man.
All right, sounds good, brother. Talk to you.
All right,
See you
see you,
later,
buddy.
Jordan.
All right, see you, fellas.
Jordan, dude,
What's up, buddy?
we are back.
Are we recording?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
What's wrong?
Okay. Oh, nothing's wrong. I just don't know the timeline, dude. It was like
No. This is
that
gonna
one
be
went
real
over
quick.
a little bit.
This is just to update everybody. This is the start of season 3. Jordan and I have been gone for 3 months now. I think it's 3
Dude,
months.
longer than that. It's been like almost
4?
5.
5? Wow. Yeah. So everybody knows. Yeah, it's mainly because a lot has changed. I've recently gotten married. I have a child on the way. Let's go. Stoked on the way, baby. Yeah, a lot has changed for the better, and I'm rebuilding my home, inside, backyard, front. So we couldn't record because there was pretty much no place to record. But within that time, we do have a virtual setup now. We have an Olympian who's coming on, pro surfer, a retired fire chief. There's so many more people that have hit me up to come on. Having to tell them to wait. So thank you for your patience. We are back. This is season 3. Jordan, you have life updates too. Your family's growing. You can talk about it if you want. If not, we can end this. But yeah, dude, here we are.
Yeah, no, it has been a couple months. I'm super pumped that sorry, it's warm. We're doing it from my garage, and if I start sweating, it's because we just got done filming an intense one.
Yeah.
But it's going good. Yeah, I've got 3. I think the last episode that we talked about, I talked a little bit about had a baby girl.
Let's go,
She's
baby.
awesome, and it's wild with 3 kids, but it's a lot of fun too.
Yeah.
And dude, my wife's a rock star.
Christina
I don't know how
does
she
it.
does
She's
it,
awesome.
but she has to deal with me and the kids, and she does it very gracefully. So I would truly appreciate that. But dude, I'm so psyched on trying out and doing the digital feeding, like so we can do from different locations with the remote stuff. And I think that's going to expand our ability to communicate, getting guests on, and having some what's the word I'm looking for? A little bit more flexibility within that, so we can stay consistent on it. Because I love doing this, and I'm super excited about the 3rd season, and kind of a little bit format changes up that we're doing, and I think it's going to be really good. And yeah. Other than that, I'm stoked because I get to talk to you on this,
dude,
more than I already do.
Great setup.
So
yeah, it'll be easy. So we just want to say thank you for everyone's patience and for continuing to listen. Because oddly enough, the downloads went up while we were gone. So it's interesting. So
supply and demand, dude.
Yeah, it's awesome. But that's it, man.
Yeah.
We'll get out of here. Happy Sunday. Again, this is July 14th, the day after President Trump's, assassination attempt. He's still alive, man. This is a wild time. This is a wild, wild time. But I'll tell you one thing while we close, Jordan. I don't know the people who are listening. I'm not one to press my faith on you or church or whatever. it ain't about church either. It's about relationship with the Lord. Just leave you at that. But ultimately, my belief is God is in control. And I do think he protected the president. He's in control of our lives and everything that's happening around us. And, you know, I always remind my parents, my mom too, because she gets all worried about all this stuff and end times. I'm like, look, you know, I've learned you don't have to stress about anything. Lord's in control. Just what's going to happen is going to happen. It is what it is.
Yeah,
baby.
Dude, I totally agree, and I agree with you with what happened yesterday too. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I think the nickname of Teflon Don took on a whole new meaning yesterday, and you know, yeah, you can call it whatever you want, but I think it's divine intervention of what occurred, and I think that's kind of the undersetting tone of just how living life, you know, it reduces the stress because the reality is that, dude, we're not in control.
Yeah.
You know, and it doesn't mean that, you know, bad things can't happen and all that stuff, but instead of worrying about every aspect of your day, you know, just, you know, put it to God and he'll take care of the rest. And you know, that's all we can do as humans. And, you know, and yeah, no, it's sorry, we just with the film and that, there's a lot of stuff we were talking about.
Oh, it's crazy,
this,
dog.
but yeah, no, man, I'm just I'm glad that didn't happen to him, and my heart goes out to the family of the individual that was shot. And like you said, it was maybe a retired fire chief or something along that line.
Yeah.
Horrible, and you know, my heart goes out to their family and whoever else was injured. And you know, I think that life is crazy, and all we could do is keep the ones around us, our loved ones, our friends, and you know, try to establish those relationships and nurture those things, because those are the only things that we're truly not in control of, but that we can, you know, make better or worse. And the rest of it, you know, we got to give it up to God to line us out. And you know, you can't control those things, dude. If it's your time, it's your time. It clearly wasn't Trump's time yesterday.
Nope.
You know, and you know, at the end of the day, I just, you know, my heart goes out to anyone involved in that. And you know, I hope that this is a big, you know, wake up moment, and that, you know, the violence thing, it's real.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I think that most people just don't understand. There was I'll keep it short, but there was a video out there yesterday that was someone in the crowd. It happened to be he was an ER physician.
Saw that.
And he had blood all over him, and you know, he was talking to the camera about what had happened. He said he saw the person got shot, hit him in the head. They came over, tried to do CPR. There was brain matter, so he knew that the person's going to expire, but they did what they could. And you know, he sounded very mellow talking about it. But you got to understand, this is an ER physician.
He's like us.
Death
he sees it all the time.
Yeah, death is not something that's going to be a new thing, but the majority of people around him probably aren't. And, you know, I think when you see that kind of stuff for the first time, my hope is that there's a little bit of like a whoa, you know, life is fragile to a certain extent. And when you're gone, you know, and maybe to the understanding of, like, you know, people dying because of, you know, political discourse. You know, this isn't the 1800s. That isn't the, you know, revolutions and things that took place. This is like, we're supposed to be a little bit more civil in this process, and hopefully there's a lot of things that are learned from this. And you know, and I'm sure it's going to be a subject matter we'll be talking about a lot, you know. But yeah, either way, sorry, I'm going on a wrong tangent.
No.
I'm super stoked to be back on and doing this. For everyone sticking with us and downloading, and to anybody new that's following, thank you and welcome. And hopefully we can provide some fun insight to things, and we got a couple guests coming up that are going to be super interesting. And I don't want to ruin that, you know, so it'll be a reveal, but it should be a lot of fun, and hopefully we get some fun moments out of it as well.
It's going to be dope. I'm going to play one video before we leave, because this is
Oh, shit.
Huh?
That was kind of close.
Right. Oh! Oh my gosh! Oh my fucking...
Anyways, that's how I feel life is right now. We're just trying to just live and have fun, and it's just like, whoa.
Dude, that's why I'm the most parent. Well, dude, the fireworks, like, like everyone in my family is not having fun with me and fireworks because I'm always like, I'm like the helicopter dad. I'm like, hey, watch out. Hey, watch out. And they're like, why? I'm like, I've seen someone's hand explode. I've seen someone that has like shrapnel through their body from firework mishaps. I'm like, it's not just like, oh, that happened one time. It's like, that shit happens every year, multiple times in multiple cities. Like, so anyway, it's crazy, man. But yeah, that's a good analogy for how things have been going right now.
Yeah, that's how life is. You're just trying to have fun and just stuff happens out of nowhere. It's like, dude, what's going on? But anyways, thanks again, buddy. Looking forward to this season. It's going to be super good. Let's get a let's go on 3. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Let's do it. 1, 2, 3. Let's go.
Let's go.
Bye, everybody.